Hello. Okay now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry because got disconnected. So
No problem.
okay now. So look at this. These are the basic alphabets, or what you say. You can say it is a phonetic chart for Sanskrit language, which has been uh, given in the form of sutras according to Panini, which starts with this Ashtadhyayi, begins with this Shiva Sutras. These 14 sutras, they are called Shiva Sutras. Now, the basic idea is that first thing we can compare that what we know in our languages, in almost all the languages, Indian languages, we have one order. That is, we take the vowels a, e, u, ru, lu, a, o, I, o. Okay. Then we start with our sound system with vargas. Ka varga. Ka kha ga gha wa, cha cha ja ja nya, ta tha da dha na, ta tha da dha na, pa pha ba bha ma, ya ra la va, sa 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 ha. Is it correct? In all our languages, in all our grammars, we begin with the alphabets in this order. Okay, right? Whatever languages we know in Indian languages, we begin this sound system or we read this, we learn them in one order. Ka kha ga gha wa, cha cha ja ja nya, ku chu tu tu pu. We say ka cha ta ta pa, five vargas. Okay, correct now? Whether it is in Hindi, whether it is in Kannada, but look at this. When you take to Ashtadhyayi to take the Shiva Sutras, you find is it in the same order, in a different order? So here itself starts with the understanding of language, the analysis of the language, the analysis of the sounds. So Panini has, in the beginning itself, he has indicated that how you are going to analyze the language. So we are not just analyzing just like that. As you know, the sound system we know in our grammars. So here you get a different order. Though vowels are in one order, if you look at the consonants, number 5 begins with ha, ya, vara. Yavarala, we generally know the semi-vowels. They are coming in the beginning, in the consonants. Though they are semi-vowels. Hayavarat learn. Then if you see the sutra, Nyamananam, these are all nasals. So generally when we learn ka, kha, ga, ga, wa, cha, cha, ja, ja, nya, so the nasals comes at the end. But in the beginning, he is teaching us Nyamananam, all the nasals first. See the ordering. The next you get Jhabaya Ghadadas. These 2, 8 and 9 mix Jhabha Ghada Dha. The fourth letters in the series. So in the series, we have Kakha Gagha Wa, Chacha Janya. He's starting from there. Myanmar first, Anunasikas, the nasals. Then comes to the next fourth category, Jhabha Ghada Dha. The fourth letters in the series. Then you get the third one, ja, ba, ga, da, da. Then comes to second, ka, pa, cha, ta, tha. Then you get the first, cha, ta, tha, ka, pa. So in the series itself, you find that the ordering is made differently, different from all our systems, the grammars we know today in Indian languages. These are the specific feature of consonants that they are used in 5 vargas, we say categories, that is ka, kha, ka, cha, ta, ta, pa, we say. So, but when you analyze the language, so we are not going the order we know. Now how Panini has changed the order first. In the consonant series, he begins with the nasals, the fifth one, then comes to fourth, then comes to third, then comes to second, then comes to kapai. Then, as you know, sa, 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 three sas are there, and hall, the last one is ha. This is read as Iti Maheswarani Sutrani. So these sutras, Maheswarani, because this is Sutram is always neuter. Dipa, you can say Shiva Sutram or Shiva Sutrani. Shiva Sutrani, Sutra is always neutral, plural is Sutrani. And because it is given by Maheswara Sutra, that's why it's called Maheswara Sutrani, means the sutras which have been obtained from Maheshwara, Shiva. That's why Maheswarani Sutrani, Anadi Sangyarthani. These are the Ana or Yun. These are the Sangya, means sutras. This Sangya is called the, in tradition, this is known as Pratyaharas. These are split into 14 groups. We learn the sounds in order without a numbering. But Panini has numbered them in groups. So these sutras are 14 in number. The sounds are many, that what we can say, we'll see that maybe 43, 49, whatever numbers differ from language to language. But here we get them in 14 groups. The sounds have been grouped into 14. That's why these sutras, Shiva Sutras, are grouped into 14. They represent different types of groups of sounds. So what is phonetics does? The phonetics is only to study the sound system of a language. Sound system means which sound? The sound basically used to analyze a language always refers to the sounds which we utter, Ucharita Sabdas. In linguistics, it is called articulated sounds. Articulation means Ucharana Pradhana, Ucharana. Unless the sounds are uttered through the mouth, different organs will come to see. Sounds only uttered, okay, by the or in the mouth in different places, sthana. So we'll see again how this classification is possible. On what basis he has classified and grouped them. So in phonetics generally, it describes the sound system. What is the origin of a sound? What is in the manner it is pronounced? So the difference between the sounds, ka to kha, kha, ga, gha. So why there are 5? What is the difference? Those that are pronounced in one place, we call kanthya. In English, they will say guttural. Same sound is only named differently, but here, how these sounds differ from each other. In phonetics, we only describe the origin of sound, the manner. We say the sounds are classified on 2 bases in linguistics. One is place of articulation, the place in which it is articulated, and the manner of articulation, how it is pronounced. Ga, kha, ga, kha. So these differences, you can look at here. Panini has from the very beginning, to analyze a language, we must understand the sound system, how sounds are originated, where they are originated, and how they are pronounced. This will get the sthana prayatna and kala prayatna. We'll see this when we come to analyze that. So now, based on that, the whole thing, if you look at this, here begins the phonetics, that how he has classified the sounds into different groups. So in these groups, what he has done, if you take the beginning, so here you get at each sutra, there is a consonant ending with halant. We say halant in every language. What is that halant? Hal anta yasya, where the consonant ends. This mark is called halant. I hope it is used in every language. Halant means, now what is that hal which comes in ant? This is the word given by Panini only. If you look at the sutras, the ha begins with in 5 ha and ends with 14 la. It makes one group. It is called hal. Panini is given the hal means all consonants. Hal means all consonants from 5 to 14. This is one group. Hal means all consonants. Now before 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4 begins with a, ends with cha, ach. Ach means all vowels. Ach means all vowels. Hal means all consonants. If you put them together, a to la, 1 to 14, you get all. All means all sounds. All the sounds that we utter, articulate. So it is a broader category, it is all. So first, the sounds group in all the phonetic, or what you call the phonemes, these are the phonemes in Sanskrit language. Phoneme, always an abstract entity. We should know the difference between phone and phoneme. Any sound is phone, but when it is used in a particular meaning or it helps to contrast the meaning, it is called a phoneme. Because all sounds are not used in the language to distinguish, but some sounds are very distinctive. So distinctive sound unit is called phoneme in linguistics. Distinctive sound will come, I will explain also. So distinct means which differentiate in the meaning. So all the other sounds, in general, they are known as phonetic. The science of phoneme is phonetics. Now in this phonetic system, the sound system, how Panini has classified mainly into 3 groups. So one, all means all sounds, or to la, it means or to ha, as we know in our all the grammars, in all the dictionaries, all the words you will get start with a, ends with ha. So that is called all for Panini. So whenever he has used in the sutras, look at this, all the sutras, the phonetic, phonology, morphology, even syntaxology, you will find these words are only used. Ach, hal, or all. Panini does not use ka, kha separately. Panini does not use swara, vyanjana. Panini has used ach for vowels, hal for consonants, and all for all the sounds. Here it begins how he has, this is coding. He has specifically grouped them and named them. Whenever the word he talks about vowels, he will use the word ach. If regarding consonants, it is hal. If in concern with all the sounds, you get all. So these 14 sutras, first, if you look at, they represent different sound groups. So there is a difference among the groups. If you try, as I told you, this number 7, you get all the nasals. Anunasika vowels. We call it Anunasika. Panini says. We'll see the sutra he has used. Anunasika. Jhavaya ghadadhas, jhabha ghadadha. These 4th letters are, in linguistics, you'll get it, you can call it voiced aspirates. In tradition, it is explained as Ghosha Mahaprana. So 4th letters are known as Ghosha and Mahaprana. Voiced and aspirates. If you get this third, j, b, g, d, the third letters, they are voiced on aspirate. Alpa prana. Aghosha, alpa prana. This is how the tradition has explained. Panini simply has given them, grouped them according to their phonetic characters. Then you can see this kapha, chata, tha. Again, you get voiceless stops. Voiceless stop but aspirated. Kha, pha, cha, tha, tha. These are stops but voiceless stops. In Sanskrit, it's called, in grammar tradition, explained as sparsa. Sparsa means when two organs touch. Ka, pa. So difference between swara and vyanjana, we should know why it is vyanjana, why it is swara. Swara is called vowels because when they are pronounced, there is no joining of parts. Open. O, a, e, u. Only shape of the mouth changes. None of the organ touches each other. But when consonants, you get ka, pa, cha. All the consonants. Yes, please. Nikhil Sharma ji. Yes, please.
So why did in 11 and in 10 and 11?
Yeah.
What was the necessity of not including ka, pa, cha, ta, tha together and clubbing cha, ta, tha with the voiced ones?
Yeah, you will. This good. So always try to look at. He has here somewhere difference because whenever the groupings are made, each one represents one unit. No. So these groupings are done according to the usage. What we call the prayoga. So when you show some changes, there is a difference with the cup only comes, not all the sounds. So khapa, that's why it is called khaya. Khaya is one pratyahara. Okay. But when you say the kappa, it makes a difference for particular places. Only kappa is counted, not all. So the divisions are best particularly for usages, prayoga. So the classification is done according to the prayoga. Suppose you say all. Why you say all? Why you say ach? Because these groups are functional. When the change takes place, they are used as the criteria for the change, the condition. So when you say ach means if the vowel follows. If you say hal, if the hal follows.
Right.
So there are certain generalization and certain also specialization, keeping the prayoga in the mind. Because prayoga anusaranaha, vyakaranaha. That we are going to see how much he has managed and maintained. This is his coding, pratyaharas. It is called pratyahara means because the sounds are grouped, regrouped. Pratyahriyante, sankipyante, abridged.
Right.
But not whimsically or of his own, but according to the prayoga. He has classified them and grouped them. Okay, now, so these are the groupings that has been done based on their phonetic characters. And particularly the two features used in linguistics, place of articulation and manner of articulation, where it is pronounced and how it is pronounced. So in Paninian system, first analysis is made on the basis of place of articulation and manner of articulation, which are very much important. That is why Panini is different from others. This is his innovation. These things were used in the previous grammars, previous traditions. But there was no systematization. So grammar means a system of language. Panini has made a model because it is a system. He has built up a system. What is a system? A system is built with certain blocks, meaningful blocks or meaningful elements with which you can, talk about or discuss or describe. So these are the building blocks with which the whole grammar is built. The sutras are written. In sutra, you do not find Sanskrit words. Particularly in phonology and morphology, you will find only the technical terms used by him. You will find this pratyahara, concept of pratyahara. This is his coding. He has used in such a way that all the sutras, particularly dealing with sound system and morphological structure, you will find even in samasa, morphophonemics. These words are only used. These sutras are only used. Acha, halla. You will see that how many are there. So with this 14, he has indicated, he has not said anything. He has used them in 42 ways, in 42 groups. I think he will show you, Deepa can show the 42 groups. Those who have got the books, they can see that in chapter 3, how these sounds are, or how many sutras have been formed. Yeah. So first 14, then you get them into 42. Next, please. Yes. So look at this. From 14, he makes 42. And these 42 are used in his sutras only. So this shows how a system works, how the grammar, Panini made a system. See, this is all his coding. He has not used any Sanskrit word in describing your sounds or words. So basic is 14. He has a finite set. Then he develops into 42, which are regrouped. And the sutras which are written, you can see why Panini made 4,000 sutras. How many sutras are there for the phonetic studies or morphological studies, morphophonemics? So mostly, if you will find, only these words are used. Akka, acha, atta, ana, antu, al. So if you look at this, just once you go through, if you understand this, the whole grammar Panini can be read. Panini has not given any example or any explanation, only sutras. Made up these words. I'll be giving one example also. We'll be coming. Just look at 14 becomes 42. And 42 sutras help Panini to make the sutras which is used in Ashtadhyayi. Please note, these 42 sutras, Ashtadhyayi is consisting of 4,000 sutras. They are different from these 42. The 42 sutras are not included in the 4,000. The Shiva Sutras are only the basic alphabet, the phonetic chart of Panini. With this chart only, with these words only, he has used in the sutras. So the sutras are framed by using these terms only. One sutra, I will just show you. Deepa can show it. That is Iko Janachi. One sutra. It is very popular. The sutra, you look at this. Iko Janachi. What you understand from this? The whole Sanskrit language is using these words with only, see the system, the rules, what Panini made, how it is technical. So the Shiva Sutras are different from this because these sutras, all the Ashtadhyayi, all the 4,000 sutras are numbered. First one is Adhyaya. Each Adhyaya has 4 padas, so that means 32 padas. So number 6 is 6th Adhyaya. Then 1 is Prathama Pada, 77 is the number of sutras. The structure of Ashtadhyayi is the 4,000 sutras have been classified, has been grouped into 8 chapters. Look at this. Why it is called Ashtadhyayi? What does it indicate? Here lies the speciality of Panini's. What is important in linguistics today in modern linguistics? What Chomsky did, what is his contribution? If you look at the basic contribution or the major contribution, he has talked about the rule ordering. When you are using the rules in a language, how do you use them? As we like or according to the usage called prayoga. So there are certain words which are used in one way, similar words are used in different ways. So the how to describe them? Even you have make rules, the rules are to be arranged also in proper order. That is what Chomsky wanted to tell, or he is telling. Unless you know the use the rules in particular order, you get different result, not the expected one. So rule ordering, what is taught today, starting with Chomsky first. The whole system of Ashtadhyayi, the name of Ashtadhyayi, Panini Vyakarana is not said, it is Panini Vyakarana, we only know. It is known as Ashtadhyayi. Because the 4,000 sutras are not used in one order, 1 to 4,000. They have been used in 8 chapters, divided into 4 padas each, and with a group of sutras. So that is why each sutra is numbered with a adhyaya, pada, and sutra. So why he has used this? So this, that means he gives importance to when you write a rule or when you use a rule, it must be, what do you call this? Satisfactory. In the sense, so according to our tradition, what is a rule? What is a niyama? When you make a rule, on what basis you make? How do you know this is a rule? A rule has a definition. It is given in our tradition. Abhyapti, atibhyapti, dosha rahitam. That is a rule which is free from abhyapti means too narrow definition. Too narrow, abhyapti. And it should not be too wide, atibhyapti. There are 2 conditions which helps to justify or to describe or call it a rule. We call niyama, and in grammar it is called lakshana. Lakshana means definition. Lakshana means rule. What is a true lakshana? A true lakshana is which is free from dosha rahitam, means it is free from the fault. What kind of fault? Too wide or too narrow. Abhyapti, atibhyapti. All the Sanskrit Shastras, scientific texts, have used their rules by following this niyama. That is, a rule is rule only when it is neither too wide nor too. That means it is exactly according to the prayoga. So this rule, this is, Panini does not say this, it is only Patanjali who made in Mahabhashya explained that. Lakshya, Lakshanam, Vyakarana. The definition of Vyakarana is given by Patanjali. Lakshya, Lakshanam. Lakshya is the target language. The language we use, the prayoga. And Lakshana means the definition. So if your definition goes with the Lakshya exactly, without too narrow or too wide, then it is a real Lakshana, the real sutras. The Lakshana word in Tamil is called Ilakkanam. I think mostly southern languages, they use ilakkanam. It is practicized as ilakkanam. Lakshana become lakkana, but in south they add e, a vowel in the beginning before la, ilakkana. So lakshana means lakshya, lakshanam, vyakaranam. So that is the rule. So grammar is rule, grammar is the vyakaranam, the rule is the vyakarana, and the rule, what kind of rule? Which meets the necessity. The target language is explained without any doubt, unambiguity and brevity. What we talk in linguistics, Patanjali has told, that is asandayartham and lagvartham. When you make a rule also, it should meet also other challenges, like it should be laghu, shortest, brevity. Lagvartham and asandayartham, and there should not be doubt. When you say laksha, when you make a rule, it should not create any confusion. It should not create any ambiguity. So for that, what is required? So you should write your language, or you should write your rule in such a language which should not create any ambiguity. So to disambiguate things, that's why in science we use all these symbols, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D. All the sciences, they are using in modern, modern sciences. They are using X, Y, Z. Same is the case with Panini. Panini does not. Oh, sorry. Namaskar. अपने क्लास रे अच्छी क्लास चलची गोटे सेकंड हाँ सॉरी हम देर लिंक आसी दौची okay, so these are the pre-requirement, also requirements for justifying a rule. To call it a rule, why you call it a rule? To call it a rule, we need these conditions, that it should be short, laghu means short, what terms say brevity, and also asandhyartham, unambiguous. So these are the two main criteria used by linguistics, but Patanjali gives 5 main criteria. For a Vyakarana, we have 5 prayojanas. One is says raksha, the protection of the ancient text. Grammar is not just written for spoken, but also for the written language. Because what is written, how do you know what was there or not? If we cannot read our old literature, we cannot understand what we are doing today. So rakshyartham adhyayam vyakaranam. To protect our ancient text, ancient literature. Uha means, what is to be used where, what is to be pronounced where. Uha generally we mean tarka. You should decide how to use, where to use. It is only through grammar we know what is the change, what is used, where it is used. Then agama, also we should know when the words are used. Sometimes you find, now as I give you example, in South Indian languages, particularly in Tamil, I know very well. See, lakshana is called ilakkanam. So whether it is same with lakshana or a different word. So we say lakshana, in practice it is lakkana. But in Tamil, e is added. It is called agama. If we know the concept of agama only, we will be able to understand that it is same word used in 2 different forms, in 2 different places, or at 2 different times. Only grammar helps you to tell that whether it is an agama or not. So in language, there is a special category of agamas, which makes sometimes difference between us, looks different, but when we understand the system, we know they are the same word. So that is why it is called the agama, raksha, uha, agama, and laghu, asandaya. There are 5 conditions or 5 reasons for which the grammar is written. Now all these things are very much clearly stated by Patanjali only in Mahabhashya. Panini does not say anything about this. He doesn't say what is Vyakarana. He doesn't say what is rule. He has simply used these alphabets and made these rules like that. And when we say this, again, the objective of grammar are three, again laid down by Panini. What is the role of grammar? Why do we need Vyakarana? Because grammar only describes the language, what is used. What is used in the language, grammar tries to explain it. Where is the change, how it is the change, when it change takes place. But what is the change? When you see the languages, we say we are all different. But when you understand grammar, you will say there is a connectivity. When you say change, what kind of change? So what is a change? How many changes are there in a language? If you don't know the number of changes, then how you are going to make a rule? Panini has followed all this, but never said anything. It is only again Patanjali in Mahabhashya, first Paspasa Arnika. The first Arnika is Paspasa. Paspasa means, it's just like what do you call that? Actually, the meaning is espionage. That means when you try to the spies. Why the spies are appointed? Because the king can know what is happening through the spies only. This Paspasa means only the spy. That means with this, you can see the whole thing, what is happening there. So Paspasa Arnika, the first word, Arnika is named because Patanjali has used this word to show that if you want to know the changes in a language, first read this Ashtadhyaya. And that's why Patanjali gives all these basic rules, basic conditions, basic regions, why you should read grammar. And what are the changes? What grammar deals with? So grammar has three objectives. Grammar describes only three things in the language, according to Patanjali, 2nd century BC. Panini did a 5th century BC. People do not understand what is Vyakarana. But those who were there, they could understand, they followed. Only at the time of Patanjali, this problem was raised by Katyayana. So Patanjali said, the objective of the grammarian is to describe only three changes. So there are only three changes in a language. What are those? One is lopa. Lopa means deletion. If there is a change in the language, we find what kind of change? One is lopa means deletion. Another is agama. Agama means the insertion. Sometimes some word is inserted. In English, we will come to see also, I will explain. Children, child is singular. And if en is plural, whatever this raw is a agama. In English, plural, children. So lopa, agama, and vikara. Vikara means modification. Vikara means modification. So there are three types of changes in a language, particularly on the sounds or thing, what we will be seeing that. So again, it is objectively restricted to lopa, agama, vikara. So Patanjali says, lopa, agama, vikara, gyaha, vyakaranaha. The grammarians are only known for three types of changes, lopa, agama, and vikara. So what I have tried to give that how to judge Panini Sutras to be scientific or still why? Why we are not able to change. First thing, he has followed the definition of a rule, that is Lakshya, Lakshanam, Vyakaranam. And the Lakshana is Abhyapti, Ativyapti, though. How to judge them? We have to know this, because to say it is a correct rule, it should not be Ativyapti and Ativyapti dosha yukta. So we have to see that the words he has used in a rule are not too wide nor too narrow. Another is that it deals only with the three things: lopa, deletion, agama, insertion, and vikara, modification. Within these, we can judge, we can very well discuss what is a sutra, how Panini made these sutras, free from dosas, Ativyapti, Abhyapti Dosa Rahitam, as well as only concentrate on Lopa, Agama, and Vikara. If we keep this frame, within this only we can judge how Panini's rule is a rule. And from that we can understand how it is descriptively adequate. Again, I will come to explain why we need Panini's rule from the background of modern linguistics. What do they expect? A rule, according to Chomsky. He says a rule, that is a rule which meet three adequacies, which meet the condition of three adequacies. Adequate means enough, yathesta, not more nor less. What are these adequacies? One is descriptive adequacy. What you describe, it should be adequate. It should be lakshana yukta. It should be free from dosas. Descriptive adequacy. And second is, then you get this descriptive adequacy, then you have explanatory adequacy. It is actually last one more in between. I will explain you. So first, if you take this descriptive adequacy, what we get, the description of the niyama or the rule should be described in such a way that it should meet the challenges or that meet the changes in the language. So the rules, the words used by Panini in his sutra. So for example, this Iko Janachi, it is always used as the first sutra. That she will change, you write to her. So descriptive adequacy always ensures that what you describe is up to the or within the objective and without any fault. Now, in that context, Panini's use of the sutra, Iko Janachi, one sutra, if you read Sandhi Sutra, start with in Siddhanta Kaumudi, it comes first with the Iko Janachi first. In Sandhi, this rule is taught first in our colleges and universities because they follow Siddhanta Kaumudi. Those who know about Siddhanta Kaumudi, I will just make a little way. I am not going to take Siddhanta Kaumudi here. We are going to interpret the sutras of Panini. Because commentators differ, they give different explanation, but we need their help only to get the examples. The examples are given by commentators only, not by Panini. This understanding of the sutra is also given by the commentators, starting with Patanjali. Panini does not give any explanation. He has simply used the word ecology, suppose. So all his sutras are like this, within 2-3 words. Ikaha, Yana, Achi. He doesn't say anything else. How do you understand? What is the meaning of this? How does it a rule? How does it make a rule? How it is applied to language? So there remains his descriptive technique, how to understand that. How he describes the changes in a language with words like this ik, yana, achi. So these ik, yana, achi are the 3 pratyaharas which we get in the Shiva Sutras. So that is why the Shiva Sutras, which are 14, have been made into 42 groups, regrouped. Because these group sounds are used in groups, not individually. First thing, in language. When the change takes place, the changes are not isolated. They are in groups. That indicates that the sounds used in languages, they change in groups. Ik means Iurulu. If you see the Shiva Sutra, Ik represents only 3 vowels. 4 vowels. Iurulu. Ayun Ruluk. Here you will see this first and second rule are made 2. But we get more pratyaharas, or pratyahara means more groups. What is that? One you get Ayun Ruluk. One is Akka. First and second, if you put together, or last is Ikke. Ak means Ayurulu. Then there itself we get another group is Ike, Iurulu, except O. Now, who was asking now? I think, yeah, that how it is. Iurulu means, no, this will be changing for this mark, first mark you should give, not this equality. It changes, will come. So what is happening this? One is Akka, Ayurulu are included. When you make Ik, O is excluded. Then we have Ana to the next day. Hayavratlana. Ayuna. An is also there first. Again, on is also second is there. In, Ituna. So how this grouping is made? So after making these groups, Panini has used the formula what we know today. You can say the tagging, or say he has used certain symbols as the end point. In Ana, Na is the end point. An is one group. It is marked by An. Ni, Na, Ana, Halant. The Halant marks, which are used in the 14 sutras, they represent only the indicator. They are called the indicator, means in Panini says eth letters. Eth means the sounds which are used to make the group, to show the indicate, to indicate that this is one group. Ak means Ayurulu. And these end letters are not considered as they are only used to make the group for ourselves, for understanding. They are not used in the language. So when you say Akka, A, I, Ru, Lu are used. But Na and Ka are not used, no. But they are used only to demarcate the groupings, the phonetic criteria, the phonetic group. So An means one group, O, I, U. Ak means O, I, Ru, Lu. So here you can make two. So Akka and Ike, there are two groups. Grammatically, they are functionally very much present in the language. Functionally. They are functional groups. Akka and Ike. So as an example, the first sutra says Ik means always, always. Iurulu. Ik means, so to understand, to make a categorization, to make a formal category, what we say, Ik means only Iurulu. Wherever it is used in the sutra, Panini uses the word only Ike, not Iurulu. He is using only Pratyahara as a code to indicate you, and it should be precise, no? A sutra should be unambiguous and it should be precise, as well as it should be very short, maximum. By using the word Ike, wherever in the sutra it will come, it represents only 4. Iurulu. So Akka and Ike are within 1 and 2. You get 2. You can also get in the Ana, we'll see that how many functional groups are there. So 42 are the functional groups based on these 14 sutras. What we call sutras, because they are also sutra one sense, they are short and unambiguous. When we say Akka and Ike, they are also functional groups. This gives the idea of how he codified the system and how these codes are used in the sutra only, no other single word. Similarly, Ik, Yana. Yana means Yavarala, always. Whenever so he will use only Yana, not Ya or Va separately. Always sounds are used in groups which are functional, used in the language. They describe the changes. And I see Achi. Achi means here. So in the first, here again you see how do you understand the meaning of the sutra? Here Panini, these sutras which are used by Panini with the example this ikaha, yan, achi. That's why the visarga has become O. Iko, yan, achi, iko, yan, achi. How we understand them? So in our languages, when you are using sentences, how do you know this is a sentence? In our languages, when we use the words, how we know them when they are used in the sentence? Is there any change in the word? And what is the change? राम घर को जाता है. रामः गृहं गच्छति. So what is happening? Is a word or a sentence?
Sentence.
Why you call it a sentence?
There's a full meaning.
That meaning, who gives you the meaning? Whose meaning it is? When you say Ramaha Gruham Gachati, Ram is going home, we know. This is the meaning, no? So in one sutra, in one word, Ramaha, there is a visarga. When you say Gruham, it is to whom, and Gachati means going. Now, when you are getting the sentence, what is happening? The words are changing, no? The words in Rama, you got a Ramaha. In Gruha, you are having Gruham. And Gachati, you are having Ti. So what is happening? Each word used in a sentence gets a marker. Words are not used without markers in Indian languages. When you call a sentence, the words are used with certain markers. What are these? It is common to all Indian languages. We call them vibhaktis. Is it okay? Any Indian language we speak, a sentence is used only with vibhaktis. Unless the words have the vibhaktis, are not used in the language, in the sentence. So sentence means only words with vibhaktis. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
राम घर को जाता है. रामन बीट की पोरार or poral. In any language we know, in Indian languages, what is common? When you write a sentence, how you know a sentence? A sentence is known only when there is, though we say it is a karta kriya, but even karta kriya, what is karta, what is kriya, how do you know? Which one is karta, which one is kriya? So if you look at this, so once we have these markers that tell us that they are from who gives the marker, when do you give this marker, anywhere you like. So something that is beyond words, we have something. The word meanings are something, but when they are used in the sentence, do they represent their meaning or the meaning of the sentence? Look at this, what they are trying to explain, and how Panini went to the very deep and to find out how to make a sentence, how you speak a sentence, what is a sentence, why do you say it is a sentence, what is Vakya? You have words only, no? Where it comes from Vakya or sentence. So sentence for us, it is a unity of meaning. When you say Rama Gruham Gachati, how many meanings you get? One meaning, no? That's why you call it is one sentence. One sentence means representing one meaning, but with different words. Words are numbered, no? The words used in a sentence may differ, but the meaning remains same. There is one meaning which is represented by many forms in a particular frame. Let us say frame. What is this frame? Where they are marked. The marking is done only in a sentence. That means only when they are marked, when they are used in a sentence, they are always marked with a marker we call vibhakti. Without vibhakti, can you use a word?
No, sir.
Why? Who told you? Who stopped you? We say, no, I know the language, it is my language. Where is your language? Which rule you are following? Is there a rule? If there is a rule, who made the rule? Panini said you that you should not speak. People say Panini stopped the Sanskrit language. Whether anybody can stop a language? Because there is nothing beyond his grammar. So there is nothing, no change beyond his description. So this is called descriptive adequacy.
Sir, that is why one of the definitions of grammar is, as Cambridge English Dictionary defines it, is
Yes.
the study of rules by which words change their form and combine into
So that's
sentences.
a change. That is a vikara.
Yes, sir. Yes,
What kind of change? Modification. What you are getting? Ramaha become Ramaha.
yes, sir.
So we are adding something. But why you add? When do we add? Anytime we like?
No,
Anything
sir.
we like?
No, sir.
Then who is doing this? So there are certain things that we know. What is descriptive adequacy? Whatever you say, whether it is a word or a sentence, whatever names we know in the grammar. Each one is representing one level of speech, one form of speech, which are actually natural. The rules not by us made. Panini has not made the rule. Rule is already there, which he has only described. It is not a prescriptive grammar. Please remember, in English they confuse with prescriptive and descriptive. Panini's grammar is never prescriptive. He doesn't say you should follow this. He only says whatever change you find, the changes are because of this reason. Changes are already there. Language is already spoken. People understand the language. They are using the language. They are communicating without knowing the rules. But there are rules which we do not know. We do not know about it. Panini has gone beyond the spoken language and understood the language that we know, that is there already in the mind. That is what we say. The language is not outside. The rules are always in the mind. Buddhistha. The language used based on that, spoken differently according to place and time, but meaning remains same. Meaning is always there. So first artha, then only sound comes, sabda. So sabda and artha cannot be separated. Whatever you understand based on the sounds, and sounds are pronounced, only knowing something. Without knowing anything, you cannot change the sounds. So in that context, how this is a sutra. And each sutra represents, is a sentence. How you understand sutra? Because it is a full sentence, complete sentence. Though it is very brief, with these 3 words, there is a sentence, there is a sentence. How to understand the sentence? So we must know the vibhaktis. Why he was telling vibhaktis? In the sutras, he has used the vibhaktis. The first word, ikaha, is used in Sashti Vibhakti, 6th case. Okay? Then yan, naturally it is in Prathama. And achi. Achi, it is used in Saptami, 7th case. Look at this. One is used in 6th case, ikaha. Yan in Prathama. And achi is in 7th case. How do you understand them? See, he has used this word in this sutra, and we say meaning is understood. How the meaning to be understood? Panini has made this rule. He has not said anything about it. No explanation, no example. But Panini also has given the clue. He has made sutras which are used to explain the sutra. When you say Sashti, ikaha, what does it mean? If Sashti is used, according to Panini, you should understand how. Look at this in the second sutra, Sashti Sthana Yoga, 1149. This sutra is called Paribhasa Sutra. Paribhasa means meta rules. Rules which are used to describe the main rules. So Ikojanachi is a sutra. It can be understood only if we follow the rules or meta rules given by Panini himself. These are called the Paribhasa Sutras. Sasti Sthana Yoga 1:149. What it says? If there is a Sasti Vibhakti in a word in the sutra, not in the sentence. The sutras are used to explain another sutra. These are called the Paribhasa Sutra or meta rules. Ikaha means Sasti Sthana means if it is used in Sasti Vibhakti, wherever in the sutra, in whichever sutra is used with Sasti Vibhakti, only in sutra, it means in the place of Sthane Yoga. Sasti Sthane Yoga. If it is Sasti Vibhakti, it indicates the meaning of in the place of Sthana. So Ikaha means Ik Sthane, in the place of Ik, Iurulu. In the place of Iurulu, what will happen? The change become Yavarala. They are changed. Vikara. So when do they change? Anytime they like or what? So in the language, you find that one group of sound changes to another group. But for every group, for every change, there is a niyama or the rule or reason. When do they change? Anytime, anywhere. So a rule to be complete and adequate, it must also give you that if you say there is a change, then how do you know this? What is the condition? What is the proof? So the third word which gives, it is the condition always. That is, achi means, here achi is used in the seventh case. E is added. E is seventh case. Marker. Ach plus E, achi. Achi means if vowel follows. Ach means vowels. Ach means vowels. Achi means after the vowels. So that means ik, iurulu. So in the place of iurulu, yan, yavarala is substituted. Adesha. So this is coming to adesha. We'll come to this. So there is a system. The change takes place in the substitution. It is substituted. In the place of E, you get ya. In the place of U, you get wa. In the place of ru, another ra. Lu, la. Now you may question, how do you know this should go in this order? Why not E becomes wa? How to decide? Look at this. Even a sutra is made descriptively adequate. How it is adequate? You have simply say, okay, ik will become yan. What about the order? Whether they can change anyone to anything, or there is a specific order. So whatever used in the sutras of Panini, he has also given you another sutra to know that whenever change takes place within groups, it should be taken as respective sense, respectively. What is respectively? Panini Sutra is this. If you see this 1.3.10, Yatha Sankhyam. Yatha Sankhyam Anudesaha Samanam, not Pramanam. It should be Samanam. Samanam means equally. Yes, Yatha Sankhyam Anudesha Samanam. Okay? We'll change, we'll be reading also. Look at this. To understand one sutras, how many sutras he has provided? First is the grouping, which is to be changed where and when and in what order. Just look at this order. This change takes place in a respective manner, a respective order. That's why it is Yatha Sankhyam, in a respective order. So to get one sutra, to make the meaning, to get the understanding, that means, so that is why what happened, the commentator, they only give the sentence based on this. They will say, ikaha means ik sthane, yan means yan bhavati, yan adesha bhavati, yan adesha takes place. Okay? So, ik sthane, yan adesha takes place if, sorry, there is a, so it takes place when? Achi means ach pare, after vowels. Here, H means any vowel. So it becomes a sentence. All the commentators give this meaning. Ikaha means ik sthane. From where they get this sthane? So from the sutra Sashti Sthane Yoga. So one sutra helps the other sutra to be understood. So ikaha ik sthane yan bhavati yan syat. Achi means ach pare. So tasmin niti nirdishte purvasya 1160 says if it is used in seventh case. Tasmin means always used in saptami vibhakti. So if a pratyahara is used in saptami vibhakti, so always in the sutras of Panini you will find 3 words only. X changes to Y in a particular context. If you read this, I think Stahl has written long back the context sensitive rule. Context sensitive rules of Panini, where he indicates that all the changes in the language can be understood only in one formula. A context sensitive rule is that X changes to Y in a particular context. So there are 3 places, the sutras represent 3 places. One is the X becomes Y in a particular condition, say Z, WZ, whatever it is. This is what the rule order, the rule format used by Panini, which is used by Chomsky in 1957, the syntactic structure also. So what we find is that the grammar is nothing but describe the structure of the language. What is a structure which is formed with rules, which are following rules? Yes, please, Nikhil Sharma. Yes?
Yes, sir. Just one question here. Does this presume knowledge of vibhaktis? Because if somebody doesn't know what is Shashti and Saptami,
Ha.
then how will, through study of Ashtadhyayi, can they know, or they need background knowledge for that?
That is why. So what is happening here? Panini has used the word vibhakti, and there is a vibhakti section in 231. You will get that vibhaktis. But
Okay.
he does not define this. Whether it is vibhakti or karak, any word we are getting used technically by Panini are not explained. Why? Because most of these terms were already in use. You get them in Brahmanas.
Yeah.
You get them in Sangitas. If you read this Subramania's book, P.S. Subramania book, which I have prescribed, he has given the details. Before Panini, these words were used in the language. Even in the grammar, they were analyzed. What is vibhakti? Ka vibhakti? Kaha pratyayaha? Ka? All these way the questions were raised in Brahmanas and Sangita text. They have been, even all the grammatical terms mostly used by Panini were already in use. So he did not describe separately. But he is going to explain them, define them separately to explain the grammatical changes in the form of Ashtadhyayi. How the rules he made to explain and accommodate all these has been told earlier. Here I told you, this is a system. He has systematized through his innovative method. This is the speciality. He has systematized the system, the grammar, in his own way to make it more precise, laghu, and it should be unambiguous. What we are talking today, Art Chomsky has started, it gives that sense that how things developed. Even at that time, Panini went back and looked at the things and tried to bring them into a particular format. So that is the speciality of Panini. Why the descriptive adequacy? Because the description, that is why you are not able to change today. But the rules have been framed in such a way that he has followed the logical order. See, they look at this thing. Ikaha janachi. You cannot change the order also. We cannot change the order. X changes to Y. No, so the way also he has used the words in the Sutra. That speaks again the logical order. And each one is marked with vibhakti, which means it is a sentence. The sutra itself is a sentence which gives you a complete meaning of what is used in the language, how it is used in the language. We'll be giving you some examples also. I am just why I brought this to as an example. How the pratyaharas, how he made the coding. What is coding? You use something that goes with the usage without, and it are all technical in the sense they are not ambiguous. Ik means only you rulu. They are specified. So technical term means they are fixed in their meanings. You cannot change them. If you say X means X, he has this meaning, no other thing. So that is why you need the coding. Code helps you to become unambiguous. And easy way to master things. Now, if you learn this one sutra with their examples, you bring any words used in our Indian languages, wherever this change has taken place, the same rule takes care of. One rule takes care of. If you see this iti anta, atyanta, ati avashyaka, atyavashyaka, ati ukti, atyukti. He has told ach, no? All the ach are taken. So then you get u, atyukti, prati eka, pratyeka, prati ahara, pratyahara. Nadiyau, nadyau. See, look at this way. Any word we know in our languages can be explained. Because we know our language, we do not know about it. Because we don't study our grammars. And to read our grammars, we can very well. So we have a guide, great guru, that is what Panini has told. Though he has not given these examples, the sutra he has made. If you take as a finite set, if you have one rule, it can produce infinite number of.
So what is the meaning of pratyahara?
That is what. This ak, acha, these are the abridged form.
No. When you write prati plus ahar.
Prati
So what is-
ahru. Pratyahru means which you abridge, put them together.
No, where you have written
Group,
prati
a group
plus
is made.
ahara.
Prati, see, hru dhatu has so many meaning. Ahara, bihara, sanghara. With the different upasargas, you get different meanings. Here, prati means towards you. A means someone totally. Hru means you take together into one. Group them. You are grouping them into one form. Pratyahara means here we are taking, pratyahara is the meaning of withdrawing. In our language, we are using, the law is pratyahruta means already withdrawn. But in technical sense, in Panini, he has not used the word pratyahara. The commentators have used pratyahara means pratyahiriyante means which are abridged, which are taken into a short form, which are kept together, which are clubbed together. Prati, ahru. They are clubbed together into one unit, one form. Ak means ayurulu. Ik means yurulu. So all these sounds are put together, gets a one name.
Okay.
This is abridged.
Now,
Yes?
in the list of 42 pratyaharas, an is used twice at number
Yeah.
4
that
and
will come.
5.
Will come.
So-
Correct. So
so-
all these
so-
things do make
Then my
study.
question is, how will it become? Of course, they indicate two groups,
Yes.
but it will not be unambiguous, isn't it?
That's why it is not. When you go to Prayoga, when it is used in the sutra, there is a sutra, Anudi Sabanasya Chaprate will come to that. That's why when you come to homoorganic sounds, how it is, how they are grouped, why they are made to, that also we'll see in the sutra. Okay, we'll see that when he has used this word means he has used in the sutra also. So when you come to the sutra, we'll find that what is its implication, where it is applied, why it is made to. So according to Prayoga only, we will be able to justify. Keep always doubts with you when you come to analyze the sutras. So how this word earn plays an important role, why it is used twice, we'll come to know where you get the application of applications. Okay, so keep it. I'll be explaining where do you come to that sutra. What I'm trying to give is that the concept of sutra, what do we know today? A rule. What is a rule? How this rule is logical? What is the ordering? How these words are used in order? A rule cannot be just like that. It should be unambiguous as well as it should be set, very precise. The all changes that we find between E and other vowels. So this change takes place. You look at this, E becomes ear with all other vowels other than E. Look at this. Though he has said achi, ach includes all vowels, no? But here, if a o, a, e is not there. U, a, all other vowels are there except e. That you should mark. Now, why he has not taken e? Why e is not included in e urulu, though it indicates that all the vowels all they represent. But when the sandhi acha condition is given, in ach, e is not there. I mean, e is there, but in the examples we do not get. That means e is not included for the change. Can anybody tell why e is left out?
It becomes a longer sound, isn't it? E plus
So
E.
if e plus e comes, you get dirgha, dirghai. It is called savarna dirgha. We will come to that. So that is why there is a next sutra is akaha savarna dirgha. Savarna dirgha, homogenic lengthening, takes place when with ok vowels. Ok means oyurulu. That's why ok is separate from ek. Ok means all the savarna dirghas take place for the ok oyurulu in general. Ik means only Urulu, which takes Yana Desha, Yana. So that is why E is not here, because if the same vowel comes, it becomes Savarna Dirgha. If you do other vowels, you get other changes. Okay, so there is a separate rule, that's why Savarna Dirgha. Akaha Savarna Dirgha. If it is Akaha means Akka, Ayurulu, A is included there. If O, E, U, so Akka 61101. The sutra is there. Look at this. If you compare, this sutra tells that only if it's Savarna, you get Dirgha. Is Asavarna? Other changes. So from this Ak and Ika, even within two sutras, you can make the how it is possible, because it shows the different types of changes. So one is Savarna Dirgha, then O is added. If it is only Yanadesha, only Ik is there. So that way also, he has given you the indication that when one sutra is made, one group is made, it indicates that it doesn't go with the whole. So sometimes O is included, sometimes O is excluded. From that you get two pratyaharas, two abridgment, two capsules. We say capsules. No? It is our coding. That is the coding process. This is the coding. He is used and group the sounds in such a way that they become operative, operational, applicational, prayoga, applied. It is applied to the language. It describes the changes in the language. If you take Savarna Dirgha, you get changes. Whatever change you get, you can make a difference.
So is that a rule? Is there a rule that the later rule will prevail over the former?
Yes, coming.
Because-
We are coming. That's what. That's why when we say Ashtadhyayi itself, these sutras are arranged in 8 chapters, in 4 padas each, and number of sutras. What does it indicate? For general, it will know that though we talk of phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, and semantics in linguistics, though everything is there in Panini as we are trying to explain it, but there is no specific chapter as phonology or morphology. The sutras are arranged in such a order, in such a manner that the particular groups of sutras represent particular types of changes. So when you see the changes, whether it is lopa, agama, and vikara, so when sometimes sa becomes sha, the dantesha becomes buddhanesha, na becomes na. So there will be a set of sutras in a particular pada or in a particular section where you will find all the shakara change, vikaras, you will get in one place. If you know 5 or 6 sutras, so wherever you get the shakara change to shakara, you will find that these sutras are only applied there. So the sutras are arranged in such a way that, so these are all mixed up, but because that is a uniform, you cannot read phonetics without morphology or without syntax. Everything is combined together. It is a complete package. It is not isolated. Because all our analysis, Panini's analysis, it is syntax based on sentence. Vakya pradhana. To understand the Vakya, we come to word, Sabda, then we come to sound, Dhvani, the phonemes, etc. So it indicates that we are always coming from the top to the bottom. So whenever change takes place, it changes with a particular condition. So that the rules will be explaining you which rule is applied where. So that's why it becomes Laksha Lakshanam. Whatever Lakshana the rule is given, how does it apply to the Laksha, the Vakya, the Bhasa that we are using, the Prayoga. Okay, so we'll come to that rule. So that is speaks of the rule ordering. Ashtadhyayi itself tells you that it is used in the sutras are arranged in 8 chapters. And in each chapter, again, you have subsections. So the changes that are used in the language are so much. So to understand them and to explain them, you need to again, sutras are also regrouped. They are also a reorder. So put them in different order. That is why it is there is a book called Structure of Ashtadhyayi by I.S. Pawate, published from Pune long back. Structure of Ashtadhyayi by I.S. Pawate, P-A-W-A-T-E. There are also other books now coming out. You can read. The Cardona also gives a very elaborate description. At the same time, Subramania's book for the beginners, for the introducing the things. So P.S. Subramania has also given. Try to read, then you will get more things. See that whatever doubt or change we find in the language, we do not know how many changes. But Panini has been able to explain them in this form of rules, which are made up what we say the symbols or the coding, or in traditional term it is pratyaharas. And it is not only with the sutras we are finding, even you are going down also, even it is not only with sounds we have pratyaharas. The same technique is also used in pratyas also. In morphology we will be seeing when the suffixes are grouped together, they also form one pratyahara. We know generally Panini has used 2 basic suffix for the nouns and verbs, that is sup and ting. Supting Antang Padam, he has made a rule. Sup means all the nominal endings. Sup means 21 nominal endings. All the nouns are used with 7 vibhaktis in 3 number. That's why 7 to 3 you get 21. To all 21 suffixes are put under one name called Sup. This is also Sup Pratyahara also. Similarly, with the verb, we get ting. Starting with ti, goes with the wa. We'll be showing that when you come to morphology. Ting means all the verbal endings, finite endings. That is 18 suffixes. Right? So 3 persons in 3 number, 9 suffixes, both in active and passive. Paraspara Atmanapada, we get 18 suffixes. So ting means represent all the verbal finite endings. 18 suffixes. So ting pratyahara, sup pratyahara. Like that everywhere, whenever is necessary, he has made them into same concept of pratyahara continues, but he does not say it is a pratyahara. It is used by the tradition. Commentator explain that pratyahara means it is abridged forms which have been used by Panini to describe in knots, in knot cell, in a very shortest manner possible, precisely. So that's why adequacy, descriptive adequacy, how much it meets, we know from one rule to 2 rule, whatever rules we are using, one we should know. So that's why the rules which are used by him, some rules are called the Sangya rules, some are called the also Paribhasa rules. There are 6 types of rules he has also used. Tradition has described them. Sangya cha, Paribhasa cha, Vidhir Niyama eva cha, Vidhi and Niyama. Vidhir Niyama eva cha. Atidesha Vikarascha. So Atidesha Adhikarascha. Sadvidha Sutra Lakshanam. We will be giving. So if you read Subramania's book, many things you will get. I'll just try to explain that. So there are 6 types of rules. In 4000, when the rules are used, they are not one type, but they are in 6 divisions. They are made. Sangya, Paribhasa, rules of interpretation. Sangya means the definitions. The first sutra. So this will be first sutra of Ashtadhyayi, Bruddhiradej. So first sutra. Bruddhi means what? So he gives the explanation. What is a sutra? So we must understand From that perspective, what Chomsky has tried to bring up the structural relations and things in thing, generative. What is generative? Also, you will come to know how one rules of Panini explains all the changes in a language of that category, iko, jana, achi. It is a very common rule, very popular rule, mostly used in our Indian languages. We get this. This is not there in English. Certain changes we'll find Panini has defined for Indian language because he did with Sanskrit. So it shows that the same rule is followed mostly. We'll try to see whenever it comes to the context. So one I was telling the rules, formation, what is the principle of rule is that it must be descriptively adequate, and also it should be, what do you call that? You should give the proper justification logically. See, ordering, as I told you, the words are also used in the sutra in order. Savarne used in Saptami. When there is a Savarna, then you get Dirgha. Savarne. Previous rule we had Achi. So in Achi, E is added. In Savarne, so a Savarna plus E, it becomes Savarne. So this comes. So these are the rules. We call it Sandhi rules. These are also rules which are in linguistics known as morphophonemic rules. Sandhi means morphophonemic. And most of the sound changes take place only in morphophonemics, means the phonemic changes within the morphemes between two words. The Sandhi takes place between two words or between two elements. For Indian languages, maybe sometimes for English, the Sandhis are actually two types. One is called internal Sandhi. Another is external Sandhi. Internal, abhyantarana, internal, antar. And external, outside. That means with other words. So these two things, the rules which are made here, not for one word. It is for both internal and external Sandhi. What is internal? Internal comes only when the word structure comes, word formation. When you derive a word or you incline or decline a word, what happens? You add a suffix with the prakriti or root plus suffix, no? So the change that takes place between root and suffix is internal. And when there is a sandhi or combination of two words, it is called samasa. So there is a combination between two words, that is external. Okay, so one example if I will give you, in Rama Sabda, Tritiya Ekavachana, we get Ramena. Rama plus Ina Pratyaya is added. We will be explaining later. So it becomes Ramena, Ramena. And if you use in same thing, between two words, you get Deva plus Indra, Devendra. Same A comes in the place of O plus E. If O plus E, you get A. Whether within a word, this is called word structure, root plus suffix. We call it Prakriti Pratyaya. So the same rule is applied. And when you go to between words, samasa also, this takes place. This is Bahya or external, Devendra. Ramena, Ra. Okay? So Ra Dirgha. Rama plus Ina, you get Ramena, A comes. So this way, it indicates that whatever change or Sandhi rules are used, the same rule is applied to both, whether it is a structure of word or a combination of two words, which is samasa. So samasa is identified. Samasa is the only concept first developed by Panini and explained. How do you know it is a samasa? Panini does not say this is samasa. He doesn't give the rule. Patanjali only says. How do you know it is a samasa? It becomes one pada, aika padyam. Rajapurusa, Ragyaha Purusa, Rajapurusa. Aikarthyam, one meaning. So two words, when joined together, they get one meaning. So what is the proof that they are become one? Because they represent only one sound, one sandhi. That is, Aikapadyam become one pada. Rajapurusha. The Sashti Vibhakti is Lopa. Vibhakti Lopa. In Samasa, importance is Vibhakti Lopa. In Prakriti Pratyaya, there is no Vibhakti. Here it is the marker. Okay. So in Samasa, the Vibhakti Lopa is most important for Samasa. But the Lopa is similar. That is A plus E or A plus E. Whatever is coming within Prakriti Pratyaya, the same sounds, vowels also come in there also. No? So whatever change takes place within a word, similar changes are also found between two words, that is in Samasas. That is why the rule used by Panini, he doesn't say it is for a word or for a Samasa. It is used in general. Wherever there is a Sandhi, whether it is internal or external, the same rule is applied. So that is how it is what you can see this, the way he has made the sutras, the language he has used, and how far it is applicable. Why we have not been able to change the pratyaharas or the sutras. And Sanskrit is such a vast language, as we know, with so many vibhaktis and so many roots, 2000 roots, with so many, how it is possible to be understood. So we are afraid of learning grammar because so much is there. But if you follow Panini, if you understand one sutra of Panini, you can look at a distance. Anytime you can, mastering is possible. So Patanjali has, given you one sentence. If you know one sutra, understand properly. If you know one word properly, ekaha sabdaha samyak jnata. If you know about it, how the word is used in the sutra, how the word is used there, eka sabdaha samyak jnata suprayukta. If you understand its application, suprayukta, so swarge lokecha kamadu bhavati. It is swarga loka means both past, present and future. If you know it today, you can maintain you can control your present as well as you can also control your future. You cannot make mistake. So if you understand one sutra, what is a sutra, how it is formed, how it is used, and in what order it is used, so everything is understood there. We need not learn. So that is why I am not going to commentaries, because commentaries have explained in large. It is always there because for the beginners. But as you are, all educated people, so it is easy to start with the frames, the rules, which are expressive to themselves. That's why self-explanations you will get from the sutra itself. You can make your own sentence. You can write your own commentary as you understand. Okay, so this is what the basic, you can see this, what Panini did, the change he made in approaching language, in analyzing language, more linguistically than just like a grammar. No other grammar in the world has regrouped the sounds phonetically so far. So let us always try to learn, recite these 14 sutras, just like we studying, Please just recite once. Let us see. Ayun, Rilak. Deepa, can you read? All should recite. So that, Please remember these 14 sutras. You can master the whole grammar in a very short time. Yes? Can you show that? Ayun. Shiva Sutras, please. Okay, read this. Ayun. Please all see this. Ayun. Rilak. Yes. Ayun. Ayouch. Ayavarat. Lan. Yamanam. Chabaya. Chadadas. Jabagadas.
Jabagadadas.
Kapha chata chatatap kapai. See this? So try to learn these sutras, keep it in your mind, so that whatever you see the change, it will help you. That is what the basic. These are our basic sound system of Sanskrit language. Try to every day we should first recite Panini salutation, then with Shiva Sutras, because these are the Shiva Sutras. In one way, it is given by Shiva. So there is a difference of opinion, we'll say that, but it is said Shiva Sutra because the sound system is obtained by Panini from Shiva after due penance, hard penance he made. That's why there is a shloka, Nuta basane nataraja raja, nanada dhakkam, the dambaru, Naba panchavaram. Naba pancha means 14. So Uddhartu Kama Janakadi Siddham Etas Bimarse Shiva Sutra Jala. It is called the network. The sutras are called network of sound system. Shiva Sutra Jalam. Jalam means we say nowadays, internet, Antarjalam, and Jalam means actually the net. The network, the net he has made. How the sounds are used by us, in what manner, everything is understood phonetically. It is a phonetic chart. International phonetic chart, we have IPA, but our phonetic chart for mostly Indian languages, this will be the basic for the Panini's phonetic chart, so that we can see that how Panini is able to explain not only Sanskrit but also our languages to the maximum. We will try to see that. Right? Thank you all for giving patient hearing. Any doubt anybody has, can just for one or two questions we will take, and in other time also you can call me and we will discuss. Okay? Yes. One or two questions, anybody, please. Any doubt? Asandhyasam adhyayam vyakaranam. You should clarify your doubts so that grammar will be useful. Yeah. Nikhil, want to speak?
No, sir, just one clarification on that Iko Yanachi.
Yes.
So basically, we are saying that in the place of ik, it becomes yan. What is the condition when that happens in case of all vowels?
Achi. After vowels. If vowel
After
follows.
vowel. Okay.
Other than the savarna, other than the e, it is understood. Akasavarna dirgha is given. So it is called asavarna. Asavarna,
Okay.
achi. Okay. Okay. Yes, our Russian friend, any doubt, try to read and see. We'll be happy if you can give us some examples. And we'll, because this is all Indo-European. Russian language comes to Slavic family, so that we will having very much similarities also. Though ordering will be different, but whether Sandhi is there, to what extent, you can also tell us. See that what is happening, we are major Indian languages are mostly following the rules. Our grammars are mostly following the Sandhi rules. Sandhi. We call Sandhi. Panin doesn't say Sandhi. He says Sangita. We'll come to, when you come to Sutras, we will try to explain. But this is how the Shiva Sutras have been used as a model, as a kind, you can say, phonetic chart, phonetic network, in which we can understand the sound systems of language. The sound system, it is not mere sounds, the sound systems which are used in different groups, in a different order, and to give the, explain the changes in the language, not just to know. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Yeah. Okay, so anything else, we'll take later. Anybody has any doubt, try to work it. So grammar needs to be worked out, always applied. Unless you work out, we will not understand the importance. Yes, sir. Khare sir, boliye. Anything to be?
I will say thank you, sir.
Think it is just just the background. We are trying to create that. Why you need? How much is useful? Even today, how much we can understand our own language. We speak our language, we do not know about it. So people write anyway they like, without understanding the grammaticality, what we call the sadhu sabdas, are the correct words. We must use correct words. That is why Panini has tried to give a best possible grammar to us, so that we can justify whatever we say or speak is grammatical. So his role, that's why it becomes a model for us. How far it is a model, we must understand. Thank you for giving this opportunity, for sharing with you. We'll be working out. Yes, Manvi, how are you? So,
I'm fine.
please,
Thank
those
you,
who are linguists, they should correct me whenever I am talking. I am giving
Yes,
only
I
some
don't
kind
know
of
much
parallel.
about this, but I'm learning. I'm
Yes.
learning. Sir.
So we should see how grammar, how linguistics go together.
Yes.
What is modern today, we have also oldest grammar, which speaks of the same model that we are getting, and how much it is useful and how much it is easy for us then to understand the other languages. So it will be, that should be our main objective. Let us know our knowledge system, how deep it was, how systematic and logical. That is all. Our idea is to know first what we have inherited and how much we know about it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
See you
Thank you, sir.
tomorrow.
Thank you,
Please
sir.
prepare
Namaste.
yourself. Any doubt, please